be here tonight. Glad each of you are here. You know, in the beginning, God placed man in the garden, in a place that God had created, that God said was good. Genesis 1, verse 31. It was the best place that man could be. Not just because of the beauty of the garden and the greatness of that creation that God had made, but because of the harmony that man had with God, the unity that man had with God. Man was pure in his thoughts, in his heart, in his mind. That one commandment that was given to man, thou shalt not eat of the tree of knowledge, good and evil, for in the day that thou eat it, you'll surely die. And of course, Eve ate of the tree and then gave to Adam, and he did eat. And man was put out of the garden, so he went from a beautiful garden, a beautiful place, to a place where he would have to sow and till the ground and work the ground by the sweat of his brow, thistles and thorns. Genesis 3, verses 17 and following. A difficult life was ahead, and he was no longer in harmony with God. He no longer had unity with God because of sin. But God provided a way, of course, the sacrificial system, that he might gain access back to God and be able to worship God, speak to God through those sacrifices, pray to God through these sacrifices that God taught them to do, so that he could return to God and look forward to being back with God. You know, you look at the work, though, that man had to do, not only to take care of his life, to feed himself now, because he had to plant and sow and raise the food for himself, but yet look at the work that he did, that he had to do to approach God. He had to build an altar. He had to raise the animals. He had to kill the animals, offer the animals. All this had to be done by man in order to, again, have that harmony that he so much needed to be with God. And he also needed to make sure that he had to work on his attitude. Cain was told, if you do well, you'll be accepted. But if you do not do well, sin lies at the door. Cain's attitude towards God was not right, and towards his brother it was not right. And he killed his brother. We also not only have to toil and work to have harmony with God, we've got to toil and work on ourselves for that harmony. Cain didn't. Cain was unwilling to work on himself and do the work necessary to have harmony with God. The garden was a protected place, a place in which God's dwelling was. Very beautiful. All kinds of fruit trees and vegetables and the animal companions. That relationship with God of beauty and goodness until it wasn't. And that was man's doing. It's our doing when we fall out of relationship with God, because we do so by sinning. And once we've broken that, we have to struggle in our lives. We have our struggle within ourselves to do what is right, to struggle to learn what is right, and to act the right way, and to do the right things, and to worship the right way, because we're drawn away by all these various temptations. It's a struggle. It's a toil. And there's everyday work to go along with it, to raise our families and to work for a living. We don't have paradise. The Hebrew word that translated, that was garden, Jesus used the Greek word paradiso, and that is paradise. And Jesus used that word when he spoke to the thief on the cross, when he said, "This day you'll be with me in paradise. You'll be with me in a place like the garden." A place where there's not going to be any more toil. There's not going to be any more struggle. And your death on the cross will be over. And it will be no more. The toil of life will be done. In Luke 16 and verse 25, Lazarus was in a place of comfort. And his toil was over. His toil of poverty and hunger was done. And now he was with the place that God had prepared for him to reside until judgment. We toil and sow with much effort to have paradise in this life. We work so hard to create a beautiful environment in this life, for this life. And we prioritize that over returning to God to be with Him in the harmony that we need. And we forfeit our unity with God and our peace with God and our worship of God, trying to create a paradise in this life which we're never going to be able to do. When Jesus has prepared a place, a paradise for us, a garden that we'll return to, where the tree of life will be, and we will eat of the leaves of those trees, of that tree, and for eternity. And we'll be comforted in our toil and all the anxiety and the struggles to make things perfect here will be no more, because we're never going to make this perfect.